When the mask slips and the betrayal is exposed, the worst part isn't the discovery itself. It is the immediate, calculated psychological warfare that follows. You might assume that when caught red-handed in infidelity, a normal human being would crumble under the weight of guilt. Some believe that presenting undeniable proof will finally force them into a tearful confession. Others think that cornering them with facts will make them take accountability, or at the very least, offer a genuine apology for destroying your trust. But none of that is true when you are dealing with a deeply disordered individual. The reality is far more sinister. A staggering 95% of narcissists do not panic because they feel remorse. They panic because their false reality has been breached. They instantly deploy a highly predictable, weaponized script designed not to heal the wound, but to make you question your own sanity for daring to bleed. The moment they are caught, they stop being a partner and become a cornered predator. In those first few critical moments of confrontation, they will use a specific set of phrases to flip the script entirely. Today, I am going to decode the exact words they use to blindfold you right after they stab you in the back. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about the 5 sentences a narcissist always says when caught cheating. You need to understand these exact phrases right now, because if you don't, you will end up apologizing to the person who just broke your heart. By the time most people recognize this pattern, they have already excused it 3 times, internalizing the blame for a crime they did not commit. Listening to this could mean the difference between breaking free from their twisted reality or spending the next decade trying to fix a relationship they intentionally sabotaged. Number 1 is the flat-out reality erasure, often packaged as the classic phrase, "You are crazy and imagining things." This is the knee-jerk reaction of a narcissist who has just been stripped of their protective camouflage. The psychological mechanism here is rooted in their absolute terror of experiencing a narcissistic injury. Admitting to the infidelity would require them to step down from their self-constructed pedestal of perfection and acknowledge a profound flaw. Because their ego is as fragile as spun glass, they cannot tolerate even a microscopic crack in their false persona. So, rather than addressing the fact that you just found a romantic text message from a coworker on their phone, they will fiercely attack your perception of reality. It is like standing in a burning house while the arsonist looks you dead in the eye and tells you it is just a warm summer breeze. You could have screenshots, hotel receipts, or eyewitness accounts. You could literally walk in on them in the act, and they will look at you with cold, dead eyes and tell you that you are paranoid, delusional, and desperately need psychiatric help. They will say you are letting your past trauma ruin a perfectly good relationship. They will sigh heavily, rolling their eyes, acting utterly exhausted by your supposedly relentless insecurities. You start shaking, holding the physical proof in your hands, but their unwavering conviction makes the room spin. You look down at the evidence, and for a terrifying second, you actually wonder if you are losing your mind. The goal is not to prove their innocence, but to prove your insanity. Number 2 is the defensive projection, which usually sounds something like, "I only did it because you have been so distant lately." Once the undeniable proof bypasses their initial denial, they must immediately find a scapegoat to carry the crushing weight of their shame. In the twisted landscape of a narcissist's mind, they are the perpetual victim of circumstance. Externalizing responsibility is their primary survival tool. If they cheated, it is only because you somehow forced their hand by failing to meet their endless, insatiable demands for attention. It is like a parasite blaming the host for not providing enough blood. In a day in the life of this nightmare, you sit them down at the kitchen table, tears streaming down your face, asking how they could throw away 5 years of marriage. Instead of answering your question, they launch into a meticulously rehearsed presentation of your perceived flaws. They will remind you that you have been working too late, that you were too tired for intimacy last month, or that you stopped wearing the clothes they liked. They will paint a tragic picture of their own profound loneliness, twisting the narrative until they are the neglected protagonist who merely sought comfort because you starved them of affection. You walked into that room as the betrayed partner demanding answers, and 20 minutes later, You are defending your character, explaining your work schedule, and desperately promising to be a better partner in the future. They seamlessly hand you the knife they used to stab you and demand an apology for the blood on the handle. Truth number 3 is the devaluation of the betrayal, immortalized by the infamous line, "It meant absolutely nothing, you are the only one I truly love." When cornered and unable to deflect the blame entirely onto you, the narcissist shifts gears to minimize the blast radius of their actions. Psychologically, this is an act of compartmentalization mixed with a desperate attempt to retain you as their primary source of narcissistic supply. They know they need your resources, your empathy, and your stability, so they attempt to reduce a catastrophic emotional betrayal into a trivial, meaningless physical reflex. It is like a reckless driver crashing a bulldozer through your living room and then casually dismissing the wreckage as just a minor scratch on the paint job. Imagine standing in the hallway, your world shattered by the revelation of their 6-month-long secret double life. Suddenly, they are on their knees, crying what look like genuine tears, swearing on their life that the other person was just a stupid mistake, a momentary lapse in judgment that held zero emotional weight. They will call the affair partner degrading names to make you feel superior, trying to manufacture a bizarre sense of solidarity between the two of you against the person they just slept with. They will flood you with grandiose promises of a future together, swearing that this terrifying wake-up call was exactly what they needed to realize you are their true soulmate. It is a dizzying performance designed to make you feel foolish for making a mountain out of what they insist is merely a molehill. They do not diminish the affair to protect your heart. They diminish it to protect their convenience. Number 4 is the weaponization of time, delivered violently through the phrase, "Why are you still bringing this up? Why can't you just let the past go?" This usually surfaces a few days, or sometimes merely hours, after the initial shock of the betrayal. Narcissists operate with a profound sense of entitlement to immediate absolution. Because they lack emotional permanence and authentic empathy, the moment they have offered their token apology, they believe the ledger is completely wiped clean. They cannot fathom why you are still experiencing pain, because in their mind, the event is entirely over. It is like a reckless surgeon aggressively sewing up an infected, untreated wound, and then screaming at the patient for having the audacity to run a fever. Picture yourself trying to navigate a normal Tuesday evening. It has only been a week since you discovered the betrayal, and a sudden trigger makes you ask a simple, quiet question about where they were that night. Instantly, the atmosphere turns freezing cold. They slam their hand on the table, their voice dripping with contempt and exhaustion, punishing you for ruining a perfectly good evening. They accuse you of being vindictive, of holding grudges, and of secretly enjoying making them suffer. They act as though you are maliciously digging up ancient history to torture them, willfully ignoring the fact that your entire reality was demolished just 7 days ago. You are forced to swallow your grief, frantically wiping away your tears to avoid provoking another terrifying rage episode. Your trauma is simply an inconvenient delay in their daily schedule. And that brings us to number 5, the preemptive discard threat. This is the chilling moment they look down at you and say, well, if you are going to be like this forever, maybe we just shouldn't be together at all. This is the ultimate trump card in the narcissist's manipulation deck. When they realize that gaslighting, blame shifting, minimization, and time distortion have not successfully forced you back into submission, they resort to raw, unfiltered emotional terrorism. The psychological mechanism here is a violent reversal of the power dynamic. By threatening to abandon you, they shift the focus away from their unforgivable infidelity and directly onto your primal fear of loss and rejection. It is like a bank robber holding a gun to their own head, demanding the terrified tellers apologize for secretly pressing the silent alarm. Imagine you finally muster the courage to set a firm boundary. You tell them you need to check their phone, or you need them to sleep in the guest room while you process the betrayal. Instead of humbly accepting the consequences of their actions, they coldly start packing a suitcase. They tell you that your lack of trust is toxic and that they absolutely refuse to live in a prison of your making. The sheer audacity of their indignation paralyzes you. Suddenly, the person who completely destroyed the relationship is acting like the one who is walking away with their head held high. Panic sets in, and against every fiber of your rational mind, you find yourself blocking the doorway, crying, and negotiating terms to keep the cheater in your home. They threaten to leave not because they want to go, but to terrify you into begging them to stay. Hearing these phrases echoed back to you can be a profoundly disorienting experience, but it is also the ultimate key to unlocking your freedom. I want you to take a deep breath and truly hear what I am about to say right now. None of this was your fault. The betrayal, the lies, the mind games, and the agonizing confusion you endured were never a reflection of your inadequacy. You did not fall for these manipulations because you are weak, foolish, or naive. You fell for them because you possess a beautiful, functioning human heart that naturally assumes the person you love operates with the same fundamental integrity that you do. Your empathy was hijacked by someone who saw it not as a gift to be cherished, but as a deeply exploitable resource. When we look at these 5 sentences together, the denial, the blame, the minimization, the impatience, and the threats, a clear, undeniable picture emerges. They are not random defensive outbursts from a flawed but loving partner who made a mistake. They are the calculated, sequential steps of a psychological algorithm designed to dismantle your self-worth and keep you trapped in a perpetual cycle of emotional servitude. The narcissist cheating is never just about physical gratification. It is always about power, entitlement, and the thrill of crossing boundaries without consequence. By recognizing this exact script, you strip away their power over your mind. You finally see the man behind the curtain, and you realize that their grand, terrifying performance is actually just a desperate, pathetic illusion. You are not losing a soulmate, you are breaking a trauma bond. Which of these 5 sentences did the narcissist in your life use when their mask finally slipped? And how did it make you feel in that very moment? Share your experiences in the comments below, because your story might be the exact validation someone else desperately needs to read today to know they are not alone. If this video opened your eyes and helped you make sense of the madness, please subscribe to the channel and share this message with anyone who might be trapped in the dark. I will be back soon with more truths they don't want you to know. Until then, let the healing begin.